welcome to Board Game Breakfast. I'm Tom Vasel. If this is for some reason the first time you've stumbled across this video, it is a weekly show where we talk about board games and the people who play them. So, lots of things going on. As always, I'll be doing a live Q&A at the end of this week rather than the beginning. I'm taking my daughter on a quote-unquote senior trip, so we're going to be visiting in the Washington, D.C. area. Maybe we'll run across some people there. Probably not, though, since we'll be doing a lot of sightseeing. So that's going to be happening this week, but there's still going to be stuff coming out from the Dice Tower all this week. And, well, that's pretty much it. Let's get started with the news. Okay, well, first of all, Laboratory H is a new design studio. This is made up of Jeff and Carla Horger. They've done racing games, Grand Prix. Actually, it's right behind me here, the Thunder Alley. And they're working together with Jonathan Anglin, a graphic designer. But this is a design studio, not a publisher. Their games that are being published will probably come from Mr. B Games. Taste Your Minstrel Games is releasing Embark. This is from Philip Dubarry. It takes place in the Harbor universe, which is kind of it's an interesting universe that they're kind of like staking this series of games on. It's a farming fantasy universe. But the game looks good, and Philip is a great designer. Band Pass Designs is a bunch of formerly Geek Chic employees making tables. Now, this is kind of interesting because there's some negative connotations right there, because Geek Chic went out of business, did not fulfill all the tables that they were supposed to do. But these are not the owners of Geek Chic, they're just some of the people who worked there and made the tables. They're making tables kind of like the ones that I have, but they are not necessarily with the rail systems. They're kind of all-inclusive tables. You get what you get. And they have just one type of table at this point in time. So it'll be interesting. It does seem like it's a tough gig because the table market is pretty crowded right now. Z-Man is releasing a new Carcassonne expansion. The sun is also rising. But this is Count, King, and Robber. This is putting together a bunch of their old expansions. The Count was a small expansion in which you had like a city that started Carcassonne being built around it. They're adding the River 2, which is kind of like River 1, except it's just a different river. And adding the old Cult expansion, which I don't think was actually a official expansion till now. A lot of stuff in this one. South by Southwest, big giant conference that's held in Texas, announced their winners of many, many, many different categories, but tabletop games was involved. So the Gamer's Voice, which is kind of like indie tabletop award, went to Soul: Last Days of the Star. I've heard good things about this one. I've not played it, but some people in my play group love this one. And their tabletop game of the year was Gloomhaven. Ares is now going to be exclusively the distributor for Pendragon in the US. They've already worked with Pendragon doing a game last Friday, but other games coming out like Hexamania and Waterloo Enemy Mistakes. I like that name. It's kind of an interesting game. So we'll see what's coming. Japanime has announced a trio of Robotech games. Now, this is actually really interesting to me because Robotech's a property I enjoy, but the games sound fun. The first one's a cooperative game, Attack on SDF-1, where you're defending SDF-1 from invaders. Then there's a competitive dice game called Robotech Ace Pilot. And then finally, Robotech Base for Impact. Now, this one I'm curious more about this one. I'm not like super thrilled. 2 to 15 real-time cooperative game. One person's the bad guys fighting everybody else. Not sure how that's going to work, but you never know. Well, we have a new game from DLP called Moria. DLP is the folks who made Orleans and Altiplano. And this one, you're going to be gathering seashells in the South Sea and building buildings. Looks like a lighter game than their past offerings. And then finally, Asmodee has started Asmodee Entertainment. This is kind of a division of them that's to work with films and TV series and graphic novels and comics. And they're not planning to do this themselves, they said, but outsourcing it in a very, very businessy, like you want to play business lingo, bingo, and their whole press statement was full of that. But essentially, from what I can tell, they're going to be taking a lot of their licenses and making them into other media. Yay, because that works so well all the time. But they're big, they're huge, they can do what they want. All right, let's get the Kickstarter news.
Happy breakfast, everybody! Another week and another round of cool games hitting Kickstarter. Let's take a look at what's happening in our crowdfunding world today. New publisher Forbidden Games is kickstarting Railroad Rivals, a drafting and tile laying game with a delivering stock element to it. Players draft city and stock tiles every round, and those city tiles are placed on the table with aligned railroad sides. Goods can be delivered using those connections to increase a railroad stock value, and at the end of the game, the player with the most stock value will be the winner. Forbidden Games may be new, but it has a deep gaming background as it's being run by Jason Kapalka, the founder of PopCap Games, and Glenn Drover, the designer of games like Age of Empires 3, The Age of Discovery. Railroad Rivals is quick because it plays in about an hour, but it still has deep gameplay, and you can get a copy for a pledge of $39 plus shipping. Asmati Games is offering up the Wutai Mountain expansion to the complex and rewarding card game Motainai. Designed by the king of multi-use cards, Carl Chuduk, Motainai thematically celebrates not wasting a thing. Every card has multiple uses, there are follow actions, and markets that you set up to create and sell a variety of unique wares. The Wutai Mountain expansion has 54 new cards called Works, which, when completed, create new spaces to tuck other cards, creating new helpers, materials, and sales. If you have Motainai, you can get a copy of the Wutai Mountain expansion for just $12 plus shipping. In Fire in the Library, players are librarians rescuing books from a burning library. Designed by Tony Miller and John Prather with art by Beth Sobel and Katie Cow, Fire in the Library is a quick-playing game in which you draw tokens that show what you've managed to rescue. You can go back for more to earn more knowledge and bravery, and books increase in value as sections burn down. But you always risk pulling fire tokens in this push your luck game, and that will make parts of the library burn down and maybe even put more fire tokens into the bag. The key to victory in this one is smartly using your tools that provide a wide variety of options that impact the luck elements of the game. Fire in the Library is also helping give back by offering a gift pledge in which you can sponsor a copy of the game to be given to a local library or community center. But a single copy of Fire in the Library takes a pledge of $19 plus shipping. In Dragon Keepers, hunters are after dragons for trophies and fame, but you and your fellow players take on the roles of Dragon Keepers trying to protect those legendary monsters. Dragon Keepers features two different game modes, a Keeper mode that is a light push-your-luck game intended for young gamers, and Dragon mode, which is a cooperative game in which you'll work to train a certain number of dragons to successfully attack back those hunters. This is primarily a hand and action management game in which you use trainer cards associated with a dragon and action tokens to defend, heal, train, and attack. Each dragon has unique attack powers and abilities, and you can earn spells and items to help heal or even gain an extra action. Designed by the father-daughter duo Vital and Katarina Lacerda, Dragon Keepers has some serious designer cred, seeing as how Vital is known for games like Kanban, The Gallerist Lisboa, and more. A copy of Dragon Keepers takes a pledge of $25. And last but not least, Songbirds is the reprint of a great little game called Birdie Fight out of Japan. Full of gorgeous art, in Songbirds, players place bird cards into a grid, trying to get their preferred type of bird the most volume points in a row or column. The loudest bird type gets the berry token, and at the end of the game, you reveal your secret bird type. Your final score are all the berry points that bird has earned, plus your hidden card value. There are some variable cards like the crow and the hawk that can be worth negative points, and really simple rules manifest into an engaging, compelling game that is, again, just lovely to look at. You can get a copy of Songbirds for a pledge of $16 plus shipping. Okay, that's all I've got for you this episode. Hopefully something caught your eye. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week.
Hello guys, I'm Cardboard Rhino and welcome to Rhino Says Yes. Today I want to show you a unique game of fast negotiation and hand gestures. It's HMS Dolores. In HMS Dolores, the players are pirates who just looted a ship and they must negotiate about how to split the treasure. You have this deck of cards with 7 types of loot with values from 1 to 3. To win, you need the highest treasure value, but you only score the treasure types you have the highest and the lowest score of. If multiple sets of goods are tied for the highest or lowest total, then you count them all. And if all your sets have the same total value, then you double the score. On each turn, one of the players becomes the dealer and opens 4 new treasures, 2 in front of her and 2 in front of her neighbor, and these 2 players need to negotiate how to split the loot. And they choose simultaneously one of the 3 hand gestures. Peace, indicating you want the 2 in front of you. War, indicating you want all of them for yourself. First pick, indicating you want just one, but you are the first to pick. If both players choose peace, they split the loot evenly. If both players choose war, they lose all treasure. If both choose first pick, they lose all treasure and must both discard one of their gain treasure columns. After negotiation is over and the players add their gain card to their collection, then the player to the dealer's left becomes the new dealer. There are also some message cards that trigger special events. The game continues until the dawn card is drawn, and then players count their scores. I absolutely love the fast pace of this game and its simplicity, but the decisions you need to make considering the speed are not that simple. You need to first strategize about the type of cards you want to collect, then see what's available, and then decide whether you can cooperate or you can be greedy and compete, also anticipating the opponent's move. I think it's really clever to match the rock, paper, scissors mechanic to the prisoner's dilemma, and this game guarantees a lot of fun moments. So Rhino says yes to HMS Dolores. You should definitely give it a try.
So what's coming from the Dice Tower this week? Well, we're going to be continuing our Gamma coverage. We recorded a lot of different videos at Gamma. Most of them went up last week, but there's a few more that will be coming this week. I'll be doing a few reviews as this week goes by, including the very anticipated Eurogame Feudums. I'll be taking a look at that and a couple other things. There's going to be some more the best of designers series that I'll be doing, and of course Sam and Z will be putting out videos later on. At the end of this week, Sam and I are going to be doing a live play of the new Thunderstone Quest. Now, that might be interesting for you to watch because Thunderstone Quest is pretty neat, but also you have a chance to win one of these gigantic Thunderstone Quest games. So come on and join us for that. Okay, so other than that, there's just more, videos and things coming out. We hope you stay tuned and watch them. New podcast dropping. A really interesting one that Eric and I recorded on tomorrow. This is going to be where we continued our discussion with Are There Too Many Games with people. We have Dawn, a store owner, comes on and talks about what it's like to run a game store. And so I thought it was a pretty interesting episode. You'll see that tomorrow. And of course, all our other Dice Tower all the different Dice Tower Network podcasts, lots of them. You can find all that at dicetowernetwork.com.
Hey guys, welcome to Tantrum House HQ. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sarah Meadows, and today we've got Queen Domino from Blue Orange Games in the red corner.
And we've got King Domino from Blue Orange in the blue corner. King Domino from designer Bruno Cathala is a tile placement game for 2 to 4 players. In the game, players take turns selecting a domino from the supply, which changes turn order for the following round. They then must place the tile into their kingdom, matching at least one side of it. Players score points at the end of the game based on how many crowns are on each type of territory, as well as bonus points for keeping their castle in the center and forming a perfect 5x5 grid. The player with the most points after 12 tiles have been laid wins the game.
Queen Domino is a standalone expansion for King Domino that, when coupled together, allows you to play up to 8 players or a 7x7 grid. Construction tiles can grant you towers and separate territory points, as well as knights, which you can use to collect taxes. During the game, the player who possesses the queen enjoys reduced building costs and an additional crown to their largest territory at the end of the game. And like in King Domino, the player to put together the richest kingdom will win the game.
Alright, so we're talking about 2 different tile placement games, which are really basically the same game, but with an expansion. King Domino won the Spiel des Jahres in 2017. It's a very straightforward, puzzly tile placement game that's really approachable and really fun with pretty much every audience that we've played it with.
Both games are illustrated by the same artist, Zero Bouquet, and they both have very sturdy, attractive components. Queen Domino does come in a larger box and adds a lot of new elements that King Domino doesn't have, and it has a little bit longer playtime.
I do have to say that I kind of appreciate the beautiful simplicity of King Domino.
But if you buy Queen Domino, you can play both together, and there's a lot more strategy that's involved, or you can just play it without the extra elements.
This is pretty cool. Let us know which one you guys prefer. You can vote now, and then be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us at tantrumhouse.com.
Mike Felicio from Solomode Games. All party games, all the time. Okay, well, that little April Fool's joking aside, it may not come as a huge shock to hear that party games are not my favorite games. And in looking into this segment, I went onto Board Game Geek and checked out the top party games, and it really reinforced this idea that these are not the type of games that I'm normally drawn to. However, that being said, I did want to talk really briefly about a few games that I do like. I thought it might be helpful hearing about party games from someone that doesn't really like them that much normally. The first game we want to talk about is Insider. This is a small Japanese card game from Oink Games. It's really a variation on 20 Questions where you have a master and an insider, and those are the only two that know this particular word, and everyone's having to ask yes or no questions to try to figure out what the word is, but the insider doesn't want anyone to know they're the insider. Really fun game. Also, Love Letter. Really? Well, apparently, according to Board Game Geek, this is a party game, and I've always loved Love Letter, and it kind of started this micro game trend where you've got two cards in your hand, and you're playing one, and you're drawing one. There's a little bit of deduction involved, a little bit of maybe deceiving going on. A really fun little game. Next is Mysterium. This is a beautiful artistic game where one person is a ghost, and they're trying to get the other players who are psychics to guess who murdered them 100 years before by playing these kind of abstract art cards. Think Dixit. It's just a beautiful game. Next is Clask, which I never thought of as a party game, but I always thought of it more as a dexterity game, but I guess if you played it in a tournament style, it certainly could be. This is a game I love to play with my sons. And then finally, probably my favorite of these types of games is Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. This is a game where one person is an investigative scientist, I believe it is, and they're trying to help the investigators solve a murder, again, through non-verbal clue giving, and one person is actually, one of the investigators is actually the murderer and doesn't want anyone to know that they're the murderer. A really fun game. So there you have it. There's some party games from someone who doesn't normally like them. Are you also someone who doesn't normally go to party games that have a few you like? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to see them. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.
Hey there everyone, it's Jen, the board game librarian, flipping some pages and pushing some cubes with this week's segment of From the Page to the Table. Have you ever had a book that once you're done reading it, you just want to share it with everyone, your friends, your family? This week's book is Memoirs of a Geisha, and I had that exact experience. I think I even had my grandmother read it at the time. I read it about the time that the movie was coming out, so 2004, 2005, and it was a deeply influential book. It's a love story, deeply poignant, also a World War II novel about a young woman and her journey in life and defining who she is. It also even kind of set me on a path in college where for a time I was studying Japanese literature, Japanese history, and I almost didn't become a librarian. An awesome pick with Memoirs of a Geisha is Hanami Koji by Emperor S4. It's a two-player game where you are dealt a hand of cards over a period of rounds, and you have a certain amount of actions that you can take each round as well. It's this back and forth struggle to win the favor of particular geishas by collecting their items that they desire. Now, being a flute player myself, I'm always going for the flute geisha. We love this one. It's great to bring out and about, and the artwork is just phenomenal as well. Colorful and very eye-catching. I'll see you on Instagram and next week.
What's up, everyone? I'm Danny.
And I'm Derek, and this is
You Bet Your Bippy. In this segment, we're going to give you some fun facts about a specific game so you can strike up a conversation at your next game night. And this week's game is Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Castles of Mad King Ludwig is a tile laying and auctioning game where you are tasked to build this beautiful, extravagant castle for King Ludwig II.
Hey Danny,
What's up?
did you know that Mad King Ludwig's famous castle is called Neuschwanstein, which translates into New Swanstone Castle and is located in Bavaria, Germany?
Are you kidding me?
You bet your bippy.
Well, did you know that King Ludwig II, he actually took throne at the age of 18, and he was King of Bavaria from 1864 to 1886.
No way.
You Bet Your Bippy, and he was also known as the Swan King, Mad King Ludwig, and also the Fairy Tale King.
Well, Danny, did you know that this castle happens to be the direct inspiration for Walt Disney's Sleeping Beauty Castle at Disneyland, California?
You've got to be kidding me.
You bet your bippy. Walt Disney took his wife and kids to Germany, and before construction, they used that as most of the inspiration for his fairy tale castle in the center of his theme park.
Wow. Well, Derek, did you know that according to the plans, there was supposed to be over 200 rooms there, but they only got 14 finished before he passed away?
Are you serious?
You bet your bippy.
Wow. Now, did you know any of these facts about Neuschwanstein? Or do you have any fun facts that you'd like to share with us? Make sure to do that in the comments below.
And make sure you guys follow us all over social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And we'll see you guys next week. Happy breakfast.
Happy breakfast.
Hey, hello there. Welcome to Adventures of a Gnome Board Game. Meet my friend Jesse.
Hi.
So Jess and I been traveling together. How long have you been traveling together, Jess?
About 10 years.
Yeah. And we're on the road normally, I don't know, 15 to 20 weeks out of the year, right?
Spring and summer, yeah. Spring and fall.
So the first time I introduced Jess to board games was about 2 years ago, and we played 5 games since then. Does that sound right?
Close to it, yeah. About 5.
So the first game that we played together, I was so eager to play Blood Rage that weekend. And where were we?
St. Louis.
So yeah, so I found
a board game cafe.
Yeah, I found a board game cafe in St. Louis. So that's the gateway game that I chose for Jesse. After 50 years not playing board games, Blood Rage. That sounds like a good kind of a gateway game.
That was cool.
That was cool, isn't it? And then I think we played Seven Wonders out after that, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
What else did we play? Do you remember any of their games?
We played what was it called?
Rhino Hero. Oh yeah, we did meet.
Yeah.
We met Rob from
With a bunch of people.
Yeah, it was Rob from Blue Pag, Pink Pag, and recently we played Robot Fries. What do you think about that game?
Well, that was. If we played it right, it would have been okay. We made up our rules.
It's fine. You know, house rule game is fine. So, starting this week, I'm going to introduce Jesse to a new game every week. And then Jesse will give his opinion on what he thinks about that game and if it was a good game to learn the first time. Now, if you have any suggestion for Jesse and I to play, should they put it down?
Sure, yeah.
Are you willing to play anything?
I may not be able to play it, but...
So if you have any suggestion that you want me to teach Jesse, so you want to hear his opinion, just put it down on the comments and let me know. And I see you guys next week. So have you ever heard about Twilight Imperium?
So I found it interesting this week. My daughters prevailed upon me. They didn't really have to talk me into that hard to see The Greatest Showman. It came out on video this week, and so we watched it on Amazon. And there was a part of it that really struck me. Now, I'm not one to take my philosophy from movies. I don't think you really should do that. But still, I think you can learn things and right. The movie had fantastic singing, tremendous choreography, and I enjoyed it overall. But throughout the movie, and this is not a spoiler, but P.T. Barnum is trying to impress a critic. This critic is just... You know, he writes a negative review of P.T. Barnum's things, and P.T. Barnum's just like trying to impress his critic. And, you know, he realizes as time goes by, maybe he should not be going about doing this. Other people tell him that. And I thought about this, to trying to impress everyone. You know, it goes back to that old Aesop's fable where the old man and his son are taking a donkey to market, and the son's riding, and people say, "Why are you making your dad walk?" The dad rides, and they're like, "Oh yeah, making your son walk." And they both ride, and people say, "You're making the donkey, you know, too heavy," and neither one of them rides, and people say, "You have a donkey and you're not using it, what's wrong with you?" So then they just carry the donkey and it falls off a bridge. And basically, the moral was, you can please some of the people, but you can't please all. It's some of the people all the time, but not all the people. Whatever. You can't please everyone. And that's really the truth of it. And I think this can come to effect with board games and with even what we do here in the Dice Tower. So with board games, for example, you design a game for the people who are going to like it. Make a game that they like. But I thought about this too, I want everyone to like the Dice Tower. I want people to enjoy it and have a good time. I am not thrilled when I see people talk on various forums about how much they dislike what we do here at the Dice Tower. And sometimes I'm a little dumbfounded, like I don't even know these people, and yet they seem to seemingly dislike us. And I'll say, okay, I'll go out of my way to try to get these people to enjoy something on the Dice Tower. Why? I don't think we're going to be able to please everybody all the time. It's not possible. So why not take the people who already enjoy what we do and make our stuff tailored to them, to make them have a good time. One of the things in The Greatest Showman was just basically him showing people, and they were just laughing and having a good time. And the big snobby elitists, they didn't really enjoy it. Now, I'm not saying people who don't like the Dice Tower are snobby elitists, not at all. But at the same time, I don't think I need to worry about that. This whole, the guy asked him at one point, is this art? And who cares? And I think we can say the same thing. There's these big, long arguments sometimes on board games. Are they art? Board games, how serious should we be about the criticism? But I just like to have fun playing these games. It is a tremendous amount of enjoyment I get from it. It's a tremendous amount of enjoyment I get interacting with people in the hobby. It's a tremendous amount of enjoyment I get just from doing things. And I like being me. And that's one of the things I've always liked about our channel, is that we can be who we are on these channels. I'm not so concerned about, the hats I wear or the color of my hair or whatever. I just do what I think is fun. And some people will enjoy that and some people won't. But all of us who do enjoy it will have a good time together. And I think that's kind of the point of it. I don't know that the Dice Tower is ever going to make a difference. Maybe it has. Maybe some people families have gotten board gaming and it's helped their family grow closer together, whatever. And that's great. I've gotten emails like that. But we're helping people have fun. And I think that that's really enjoyable. So that's what I was thinking about this week. Also, I need to get these songs out of my head. They just keep going on and on and on and on and on. Something else or an earworm.
Everyone, my name's Annette, and you may know me as Netters Plays, and today on Applied Mechanics, I'm going to go over the game of London. So this is a classic tableau builder, and my favorite mechanism here is the use of the cards along with those timed opportunities to play them. So let me show you a little bit about the game and what I really like. So here's the setup of the game. Players only have 4 actions on their turn. One of the actions is to develop. In order to develop a card or build it in front of them, they have to discard a card of the same color type. When you develop this card, you have to pay any cost, and you also will get some benefits like points or money. Another action you can take is to buy land from the available cards in the middle. These cards do tend to cost a little bit more, however, they give you immediate benefits and additional benefits throughout the game. Another action you can take is to run your city or activate the cards in your tableau. If they have an activation symbol in the center of the card, then that will immediately happen during that time. However, beware, because every card in your tableau will give you poverty along with the cards that you have in hand while the activation happens. Another action you can take is to draw 3 cards either from the deck or from the development board. Throughout the game, you'll be gaining points, potentially loans, which are bad, money, and a tableau of action cards along with poverty. If at the end of the game you are the person with the least amount of poverty, you don't get penalized. However, if you have more poverty than your neighbors, then you will get major negative points. So you have to make sure that you are always managing your poverty. You can activate the cards in your tableau, which will give you these benefits and opportunities to acquire more cards, points, or money, or even poverty. Poverty is the extra challenge in the game, and that's why I really like it, because you have to play these cards in opportune moments in order to get the least amount of poverty. And if you do gather it, well, you have to make sure you get rid of it, because you're in competition with other players to get the least amount of poverty. So that's why I really like London. Well, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Howdy folks, welcome to By the Numbers. My name is Hunter Thomason. Each week on By the Numbers we look at a board game numeric related topic. This week's topic, how big is too big when it comes to board game conventions? Board game conventions measure their attendance in two different ways. They measure unique attendance, which is basically the number of attendees, number of tickets sold, or they measure turnstile attendance, which means how many people came to the convention. It could be the same person. So if someone comes one day, they come back the next day, they come back the next day. It keeps counting them over and over again. Looking at the 2017 attendance in this handy-dandy spreadsheet, we see that Gen Con had over 60,000 unique attendees and almost 208,000 turnstile attendees. Essence Spill, on the other hand, had unique attendees and about 182,000 turnstile attendees. Moving down a little bit, we see Origins has 17,001 unique attendees and almost 59,000 turnstile attendees. Just below them is the UK Game Expo, 16,500 unique attendees and 31,000 turnstile attendees. The accountant in me eyes those even numbers suspiciously. Which board game convention is right for you? There's Gen Con. Maybe too big. There's the UK Game Expo. Maybe too British. And then there's one that's just right. So thank you for watching By the Numbers, and we'll see you next time.
Happy breakfast, everybody. Today I'm going to talk to you about games themed around space. The first game is Cosmocracy, or the Galactic Debate. And that's exactly what you're going to be doing as a politician representing the space whales, energy beings, humans or shapeshifters, and more. As issues come up, one person's going to be pro, one person's going to be con, and these are going to be like the death penalty for illegal brain swapping surgeries, or making there be a one-child policy for a particular race. Now, the theme starts out pretty weak. You are a space whale that maybe likes this and dislikes that. But as the game progresses, everything you say as a politician in the debate is true. The theming grows, the narrative is there from what people are saying. So if the space whales dislike people having towels, that is true for the rest of the game. And then things spiral off of that. So the theme might not be there too much apart from a space debate at the start, but by the end you've got a whole universe worth of content. The second game I want to talk about is Planetarium. Now, the theming of the stuff that happens to the planets is great, but for me, something that really captures it is the way that you have to move the planets around in one direction, because they always orbit in that direction. And you can only slightly adjust the orbits of a planet, sort of one ring in or out. Part of the fun is the end game objective-like cards that says you want this particular rocky planet, you want it to be habitable and near the outer rings, whereas someone else might want to be bombarding it so it's inhabitable and just moving it inwards to try and complete theirs. Anyway, there's two space-themed games that I've enjoyed, and I hope you do too if you play them or if you have played them, and let me know in the comments section below. Anyway, I'm Oliver East, signing out.
Hi everyone, my name is Dave Luza and this is my 100th episode on Board Game Breakfast. 2 years ago I was sitting on the couch thinking of what my next big project was going to be. I was thinking about getting a new console game and just spend hours and hours in a digital world. But then I thought, no, maybe I should send an email to Tom Vasel and talk to him about a segment idea I had for Board Game Breakfast. And he loved my demo and said, yeah, sure. And now I am here, 100 episodes in. Syndication. Don't know what that means though. I have met so many great people. I am part of a huge podcast that is This Game is Broken, which is a board gaming panel show, a quiz show where the points don't matter, but we're just all about having fun. Oh, and it's edited, and that makes so much difference. So to me, it makes a lot of difference if it's fast. I love stuff being fast. I'm also directing and writing and acting in my own puppet series about board games. Yes, I am playing through Pandemic Legacy,
online, so people can join me. If you want to join me, please join me for next Wednesday. We're going to play through early March, so the third game of Pandemic Legacy, because I won the first two, yay! And I made these puppets. Some of them you might know, like this one, yay, Mandy, and she's lending her voice to the character as well. So I have Girls Game Shelf, Christina. I have Cardboard Rhino. Oh, she's not in the first episode. Spoiler alert, sorry, but you don't know what she does. And so the first episode is spoiler free. You can find it on my YouTube channel. The second episode is not, because things happen, the world changed, and we can't talk about it. But if you're interested, or if you have already played through it, then you might want to check out what the puppets are having to say. I'm thinking of backstories they have, and of course there is one of the Murph brothers is in it. The other one might appear at some point, you never know, because the Murph brothers are everywhere. So thank you for 100 episodes. I will continue making these episodes, and I look forward to them. Thanks for watching. My name is Dave Luza. Bye everyone.
Board gaming is one of those things that's absolutely fantastic to do with a group of people, of course. But did you know you can also play board games by yourself? A lot of cooperative board games are possible to play as a solo player, but there are also a bunch of games that are designed specifically with a single player in mind, or with a solitaire variant built into them. I'm going to show you a couple of examples because these are wonderful games to pick up if you're here studying or working and you just need to take 15 minutes out of your day to do something a little bit different. The Game, apart from being extremely difficult to find if you're looking for it online because of the name, is a wonderful cooperative game that is great solitaire. You have two sets of cards, one pair going from 1 to 99 and one pair going from 100 back down to 2 again. You then have 98 other cards and you simply have to play them all. You can only play going up or going down a card that is either higher or lower than the previous one you've just played. So in the 1 to 99s, if I've just played a 5, I couldn't play a 2, 3 or a 4. It's a very, very simple game, but fiendishly challenging. Escape rooms have been growing in popularity over the last few years, and so have escape room games. A relatively recent invention, but growing massively within the hobby. There are a couple of examples that I can recommend for you to play solitaire. Unlock is one that we actually have open on the wall here, and the idea with this is filling in puzzles and trying to escape from whichever room you happen to have been locked in, and it follows the basic escape room formula of trying to work out how pieces fit together. You have your time limit, you do your very best to complete the puzzles within the time limit without taking any hints. There's also the Exit series of games, and the 3 of them that came out originally as a group actually won the Kennerspiel des Jahres, that is one of the Game of the Year awards in Germany for last year. These are spectacular games to play. They go from 1 to 4 or 1 to 6 players, and so you can do them with a group, but they're fabulous on their own. And the interesting thing with these ones is you will be destroying components as you actually play through them. So you have this wonderful tension of knowing that you're only going to get this experience once as you play through it. Number 9 is a puzzle game that will have you thinking something in the Tetris vein when you're trying to play it. You have a collection of numbers from 1 to 9, which are all different shapes, and the idea is that you are going to be stacking these together in order to create a tower, essentially, of these numbers. But only the higher levels of the tower will score, and the higher you get, the more points you score. You'll be drawing cards at random and having to somehow fit the numbers that you have pulled out onto your stack. This is a game that can play very, very quickly. You'll play a full game of it in 5 minutes, and I cannot recommend it enough for a super quick break if you need one. Forbidden Island is a cooperative game by Matt Leacock, whose name may be familiar to you if you've played something like Pandemic, which is his very famous series of games. In this game, you are looking at this island built out of the tiles, and you're trying to run around in order to find the 4 elemental statues that are on it and to get them off the island before it sinks. As you play this game, you're going to be drawing cards such as this one, and then that is going to cause the island to flood. And if it floods too much, those tiles are just going to be out of the game, so your island is shrinking as you're running around it. You're making your moves, trying to get places in order to pick up the cards you need to be able to claim one of the elemental statues, and once you have all 4, you can get off the island. It is something that can be played fairly quickly, probably the longest of the games I'm talking about today, but still quick, and it's an excellent break if you want to actually have a little bit of tension and a little bit of something different to think about in the middle of your working day. And so there we have it, some solitaire games for you to try out. There are plenty more. We have a whole bunch on the wall here at Snakes, and our gurus will know them, so come in and ask if you would like to take a break and would like to play something by yourself. Also, check out our podcast, The Snakes Cast. Back in November of 2017, we did a whole week's worth of episodes on solitaire gaming, so if you'd like some more inspiration, go and check that out as well.
Hey, this is Mike with Board Game Makeover. In a previous episode, I showed you how easy it was to take a travel Scrabble game and turn it into a two-player travel Azul game. This is what it looked like. I showed this to a friend of mine, his name's Michael, and he said, why don't you mash up Azul and Scrabble? And I thought, what a great idea. So I took Azul and Scrabble and mashed it up into Scrazul, or Azul, or Azul Scrabble Edition. Let me show you how this works. Azul Scrabble Edition is played exactly with the same rules of Azul, except you have Scrabble letters that match the colors. So the same rules apply as to when the game ends. The only difference here is that you're going to be trying to make words as well. And those words will add up to points at the end of the game. And now when you're choosing which color to take, it's not just taking colors now, it's taking letters that might make words. For example, if it was my turn and I was trying to find a letter that would fit in here, this would work perfectly. I would take both of these, put them here, these would go in the middle, and when it came to the end of the round, I would move the E over here, get rid of that, and putting the E here created the word tears. I used a green blank as the negative point, so if I had to take a negative points, they might look like this. The negative points are now that value, not these ones up here. So if you have this there, ouch. Now you have a negative 5, 6 points, because the first one's always a negative 1. The way this is scored at the end of the game is you only count words one time, going each row. So one word per row if you have any, and one word per column if you have any. Nothing diagonal. So, for example, since we have the word OAT, oat, that would be worth an additional 1, 2, 3 points. We also have the word ox. That's worth an additional 9 points. And going down, we have age, which is worth 2, 3, 4 points additional. And of course, tiers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra points, plus the bonus, which would be an additional 7 points. And there you have it, Azul Scrabble Edition. So as you can see, this was one of the easiest projects I made. Taking Azul and Scrabble and using Scrabble letters, because the Scrabble letters were so inexpensive online. You can get any color you want. And that just makes this game much more interesting. Thanks for watching the Board Game Makeover. I will see you next time.
So recently, I did my top 50 games of all time, games of all forever list on paper, at least. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I kind of just didn't count card games. Well, not all card games, obviously, because that would be insane. But card games you play with an actual, real-life regular deck of cards, normal card deck games. Card games. You know, card games. Card games. And some of those games, let me tell you, would have ranked really, really high. Really high. Spoilers. I get it. Traditional card games aren't really hobby games. They're kind of a breed all of their own. Like this guy. But some of my favourite games and just favourite experiences playing games have been with regular card games, with people who would not play a hobby game. They just wouldn't, even if they're the exact same game. So, over the next few weeks, I'm gonna share with you some of my favourite traditional card games, and that's just what I'm doing, because I've got feelings and opinions that must be declared to the world for some reason, and I feel like a justification here. That's fine, but until then, if you want to share with me some of your favourite all-time traditional playing card games, There's got to be a quick way to say that. Then please do let me know in the comments below. And until then, have a great just have a great week. Have the best week. Go on. I won't, but you should. Bye.
This is your friend Eric from Nashville. You know, lately I've been watching the history of the Dice Tower, and I've come to realize, Tom, you've been doing these game reviews for a long time, and you've been doing them completely wrong, or at least not the way that I would do them. I mean, when you're done with the review, usually you say something like, but don't take my word for it. And I really appreciate that about you, this idea that just because you don't like a game doesn't necessarily make it a bad game. Someone else might appreciate it. When I look at a particular game, I like to think about what it is that that game is trying to accomplish. So, riffing a little bit on what Z has done with his Target, I would say instead of using the same criteria each time, that you might actually change it from one game to another. So that taking a game like Splendor, you may decide that set collection, resource management, maybe drafting might be the mechanics of it, and you would want to judge how it did on each one of those things. Then you take into account things like theme and the ease of play, the length of play, the aesthetics, and things like that. And you add it all up. So I would say that if you got 10 of these, and each game that you did, even though they're different, each one had 10 different things. And for everything that got a negative, you give it a 0. For everything that's neutral, you give it a 1. For every positive, things that they got right, you give it a 2. You add it all up, and something like Splendor would end up with a total of 14 for me. I take that, divide it by 2, and I've got my BGG score of 7. And that's my take on it. But you know what, Tom? You've been doing this a lot longer than me. I think you've got it down pretty well. But you wanted a submission, so I couldn't let you down. See ya. Okay, I don't agree with that necessarily. That was the nicest Tom is wrong. And by the way, folks, if you feel that I'm wrong about anything, a review, anything, please send in a segment. I'll air them all. I don't care. But anyway, as for rating games, I'm always very cautious about the numerical ratings. To me, a numerical rating has always been a gut feeling. I've done these different rubrics in the past where I've signed this and that and this and that. And sometimes you're like, oh, I gave it all these points, and yet the game seems like it's way better than that or worse than that. So, I don't know. I go with the gut feeling. But as you said, I'm wrong. Hey, folks, I appreciate you watching yet another Board Game Breakfast. I appreciate all my contributors doing a fantastic job, as always, talking about board games. Just what a great time. I'm so excited about this coming week. I'm excited about the things that are coming up. This month is just moving right along already. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast.